And we have here on the line with us, we have Maurice Briones, and he is, as I mentioned, a school counselor with many, many years of experience. And today he's going to be talking to us about social media and the brains and the mental health of teenagers. Good morning to you. Maurice, can you tell us a little bit about your experience as a counselor? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, yeah, great. Let's start. Look, I've been working in this field for since I started with nursing, and then I went into counseling as soon as I finished nursing. And I've done forensic counseling at the same time, forensic psychology for many years for Justice Department in Victoria. And since then I've been doing counseling for adults and also I went to work at school lately.
Okay.
And that going to school make like the full circle, why we behave the way we do and then we become adults and we follow the trend that we grew up, and that makes us who we are.
Very fantastic. So, Maurice, can you tell us a little bit? I wanted to explore to you the topic of social media, because if there's one thing that is now one word that has been even created it's screenagers. And this is to describe the phenomena that we are observing, that teenagers and look, adults alike, but especially teenagers, we're spending more times looking at screens than ever before. And I'm wondering if from a counselor perspective, from someone that has been working in the front lines of mental health, is this something that we should be worried about, or is just that part of the natural development of a person?
No, short answer, we should be worried about very much. I do have a teenager, 15 years old, and my son is going to be 11 in a few weeks. And we can see how much the ambient where they live. I mean, the school friends and the friends, they contact each other with different medias, social media, and the time that they started spending on this. We have Roblox and these other, just to mention one, and that they play online, and slowly they no longer go. We can see children, students,
So what?
Not contacting friends around. So they the whole world is just playing games, things like that.
So what are the things? So you mentioned that this social isolation, I guess I could call that, is one of the outcomes of that. What else?
Social isolation. Look, right. Look, there is a vast thing that can happen, obviously. But one of the things that it's prominent and it's in the rise, is almost 500% has increased, is cyberbullying, which is bullying.
Okay, so how does what's the difference between cyberbullying and just the traditional bullying that we are used to?
Well, we know that bullying is always been bullying. It can be verbal. We got the physical bullying, like hitting, punching, and actually physical attack. And then we have the verbal bullying, calling names, teasing, threatening, and the social relationship when you spread rumors, humiliation. But cyberbullying is different because it's a 24/7. If I said to the person, as soon as they grab the phone or the computer, you can see that it's being heard by people around them. So that can be happening at 24/7. The other one is just as long as you see the person and you talk to, but this is different because it's all the time there. People do it by sharing private information, photos.
Have you dealt with that in your practice? Have you dealt with kids that have been affected by cyberbullying?
Yes, and one of the problems that we can see is that many of the times that when this happens, parents, they don't know about it. They just see some difference in the son or daughter because they feel they look sad and a bit depressed, but they do not know where that comes from. And that is the common denominator. That is the parents. They typically 95% they do not know.
And
why is.
what can be done? So what is some of these strategies that can be done that you would recommend in terms of management? So would just exclude the access to smartphones altogether? Is that how to best solve this problem? Can we, in this day and age, completely isolate our children from exposure to the internet? How do we navigate that, particularly to parents?
I think that we need to talk about balance here. Okay, because at the time where I was a teenager is different to what is now. I didn't have a phone, so we didn't communicate in this way, which is you can't see your friend. But here it's different. We need to establish a balance. And the important thing is that we need to know who our son and daughter is talking to, and how long is they're using social media. Because if they could, they would stay all day, doing that. But we need to start seeing and say, look, what we have done in my house is that my daughter has to report the phone and leave it in my side table at night. And sometimes we do check what the messages are. And we tell them we're going to do a check, and just to make sure that, because at the same time, this is another topic, that there's a lot of predators that they can filter. So we need to look at the actual messages and check, and also, what are the websites that have been. I think that is parenting at best.
Yes.
We need to look now who are the friends and what they're saying.
Yes.
To have more control. Because sometimes it's easy to say, look, I haven't come back from work today, just please, I need some time. And they start looking on the internet. But we need to start looking at who are the friends and what they're saying. That is a key, a very important part. And when you do this, that pretty much, it will show you really what can happen. Control. What I'm trying to say is that we need to control that. We need to be more aware of our children's friend.
And I'm pretty sure that a lot of kids would be on board with that because they trust their parents. They understand that this is being done for their protection. The parents are there as a guidance, not to be, poking their nose into their private lives. But at the same time, what if we have a case where the teenager is really pushing back against the content that they're consuming?
Yeah.
How do you navigate that? What should parents, how should they approach that situation?
Well, if you suspect that there is something more, that friends having a argument, because obviously also, for example, they can be the ones that are actually doing the bullying. That is when, obviously, I was brought up in a Christian household, what we call the old-fashioned way. I will restrict the usage of media. But first, obviously, I will need to have a conversation with my son or daughter and ask questions like, why is this here? Why are you doing this? I know they are very rebellious students or teenagers,
Yes.
But we need to establish first communication. Really, that is what we need to do first, instead of giving orders. Communicate. Well, it depends on what it is. You can cut the internet or reduce the internet or remove the actual media. I know that some parents have bought the phones that they don't have access to the internet. They just for texting and calling.
Yeah, what we call the now famous dumb phones. Phones without the smart capabilities.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's right. But it all depends based on what is the problem, and then you start moving the restrictions according to what is occurring. what is happening.
Very interesting. So Maurice, just to as our interview is coming to a conclusion, can you give us just what are your a snippet of wisdom, to all parents? If there's one thing that you want all parents to know, to hear about in regards to this topic of their teenage children and social media, what would be the best advice that you would like to give?
Okay. Well, based on my forensic background that I worked for a lot of years, more than a decade, be aware of what your children are watching, reading, and their friends. Just be involved, asking questions, and for them to show you, and for you to look. And that would be perhaps the best to avoid any potential conflicts and predators or anything of the kind. You need to be aware of that and act upon it.
Absolutely. I think that these are very wise.
Increase.
Yes.
It is an increase. Almost 500% increase for the last 5 years.
That is definitely very concerning number, but thank you so much for bringing that wisdom to our listeners. And of course, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask Maurice on this topic, let us know. Text it to 0491 064 669, and we will send these questions directly to him.